Welcome to Season 3 of the M-W Tactical Podcast. Sit back and enjoy the conversations of the mad scientist and myself as we discuss the sport of shooting, goals, training, and everyday life. You are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. All right, good people. I want to thank everybody for coming back to another installation of the M-W Tactical Podcast. And just like always, we want to go ahead and welcome everyone who's listening to us, both in the United States and abroad. We really do appreciate it. This week's show is sponsored by Red Dirt Shooting, who is also a contributor for the South Carolina sectional taking place April 30th through May 2nd. Registration is open for that competition coming up in April. So before I forget, the mad scientist will tell me to tell everybody, make sure you come out there and personally shake his hand. Also, we got 2 GoFundMe campaigns going on, and the past 2 weeks, you probably heard us talking about the campaigns. So right now, we already had 3 people who donated funds for us making the professional movie. So we do want to give a thank you to Mindy Jo Ringle. She also does the podcast called J Frenzy and Friends. So I was on that podcast a couple weeks ago, and I posted it on Instagram and Facebook. So check it out. And it's a podcast talking about leadership. Another contributor was Cynthia Weaver. And then we have somebody who was anonymous. So I do want to thank those 3 people for donating to this project. And once we actually get started on it, it will be something that I think will be a great project in the making. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and bring in the man with the plan. This past week, the man with the plan has been overworked. So I think he needs a vacation. At the same time he needs a vacation, we might have to take his guns and clean them and fix them, but I don't think he might not let that happen, but we will see. But welcoming again, the co-hostess with the mostest, my man with the plan, Dave. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, Mike. I'm not going to let you touch my guns.
Well, I kind of knew that was going to happen. But man, so how has your week been since the last time we was on the show?
Been busy. Had a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff during the week at work and everything else, and a lot of stuff to take care of this weekend. But yeah, I think it's going to calm down a little bit. Planning on getting in some shooting soon, and I might actually take a weekend vacation here shortly.
Nice. Well, like I said, yeah. After talking with you the past couple of days, I was like, you probably need it. So it seemed like you was at that point where it's time for much needed break.
Yeah. Hopefully my wife and I can get out of town for just a couple of days next weekend, maybe.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing. This weekend, I ain't do nothing. I just sat around the house and literally did nothing. Bugged Coach B, started joking with her. We actually even start playing pinball again. First it was Emma beating me in pinball. Now Coach B beat me in pinball. I'm about to give up pinball. Like, I don't know what's going on around here. But
can you dry fire pinball? Maybe we need to start.
Yeah, I might have to.
I don't know how that would work, but
yeah. But coming in for another week with no complaints. I think she's actually starting to look forward to it. But the deal still stands, whereas if she's on the microphone, the camera cannot be on her. Maybe you can email and ask Coach B to get on camera, but everybody flood the emails and ask that question to her. So without further ado, the other co-host to the M-W Tactical Podcast, Coach B. How's it going for you, B?
Hi, Michael. Hi, Dave.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
And so how was your week since the last time we was on the podcast?
My week's been good. Staying busy with work and then M-W Tactical.
No, so how's that keeping you busy?
just answering emails, phone calls, trying to get classes scheduled.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know how that goes sometimes. I think half the time people call just to talk to you anyway, just to see if you're a real person, see if you're really working with M-W Tactical.
Sometimes I wonder if that's really what's happening.
Yeah, I kind of sit back and I see it, I laugh. So, you know how it goes sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, so I wanted to go ahead and tackle a few topics when we hit the main the next segment after the commercial break, the main talking points. And we also did an interview this week with Joel Turner from the Marksmanship Unit. And it was a pretty interesting conversation we had. And he is one who is head first for 3-gun. And I actually stated like my opinion with 3-gun, but I only done it 2 times. So I'm not real familiar, real keen with it. But stay around and check out that conversation with Joel Turner from the Marksmanship Unit. And after the commercial break, we got a new segment with the M-W Tactical Podcast. So if you was listening to the podcast a few weeks ago, you would have heard a conversation when we was making the phone calls with somebody who I was stationed with over in Germany, who we went to Afghanistan with, Sergeant Gomez. And he's going to have a segment on the podcast called 5 Minutes with Sergeant Gomez, whereas he asks us questions, and it's pretty much questions for beginner shooters. I'm taking it. I didn't go into detail with him. I just told him however he wanted to run it, but he kind of gave me a little breakdown of it. So I'm pretty curious to see how that's going to turn out here.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
Yeah. So but outside of that, I can actually say I actually done something I was proud of, and I dedicated literally like 4 days back to back on it. So I'm pretty sure you saw your emails flooded with Matchbook 1, Matchbook 2, all the way up to 7 with all the updates.
Yeah, and I still haven't made it all the way through it, man. I'm going to this week.
Oh man, take your time. I'm still waiting on a few more things to add to it from 2 companies. And after that, it should be complete. So, but I was actually proud of it. I was like sending it to everybody, not everybody, but people who don't shoot, like, hey, look over this. Tell me what you think. Is that hot? Is that cool? What you
Well, that'd be interesting. Give outsider's perspective.
Yeah. So, but like people who look at it, they're probably just looking at it from the grammatical errors and positioning and, saying like just small conversation with it. So, and I didn't want to send it to all the shooters that we regularly know. I just think it's bad juju to do that. They get the book before it's actually published, and then next thing you know, it's already spread across the internet.
Yeah. Oh, it can happen, and it probably will.
Yeah. So you know how that goes with it. But Coach B was actually helping on that also. She gave some good insight on it and her perspective and her thoughts. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go with that. What was your take on that?
I think it turned out very well.
Yeah, I think so too. But at the same time, have you, by you not actually doing anything like this, because this is my first time doing something on this level of shooting, but I can almost relate it to something in relation to the military. But what is your overall take when you actually see and hear things from behind the scenes of working for the or with the South Carolina section that's coming up?
I have an appreciation for what everyone does within the shooting sport, because the behind the scenes, it's tough. It's very tough. Yeah. I have to say, I mean, like from the stage designs to planning the matchbook, planning the event, it's a lot of work, and it's very time consuming as far as everything that goes into making this one event happen. And I know I've been at matches and I've heard people complain, here and there about certain things. But I think until you actually do it, you don't know the work and the dedication that people put into it on top of their normal, I guess, jobs and life that they have to do, so it's a lot of work. It definitely is a lot of work.
Oh yeah. So like I said, even like the other day when me and Lucky was talking, I was telling Lucky, like, I did not know the inkling of how much USPSA have their hands in major matches. So when listening to Dave talk about the back and forth and I'm going to email him back, I got this email back about this stage, and I was like, wow, I didn't know they really go through it like that with a fine tooth comb. I thought it was just something you submit and they just put it on file and like, okay, just make sure, you don't have to shoot throughs and all this and that. But it is a well thought out process. Whereas when people say it's a safe environment to shoot, it is backed up, double checked, triple checked again. So
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we play with guns, so they are still dangerous.
Right. Yeah.
But our sport, man, just as a whole, man, we rarely ever. I've only heard of one incident happening where someone was injured.
Right.
Where a gun. It was. I don't even know if it was in the United States. It may have been in Canada a few years ago. Someone dropped a gun and tried to catch it before it hit the ground and ended up getting a finger on the trigger.
Yeah.
And that is just a freak accident. We take so much, put so much effort into the safety aspects of it. So that is almost unheard of for someone getting hurt.
Yeah. And even like when I talk to people who want to come out and shoot, and even if they say like, I'm scared, of course, everybody who is new to it, they're most scared of the performance value because of what everybody else is what they think everybody's going to say about their performance. But I think a lot of that is the fear of, okay, all these people got firearms on them. What if somebody drops it? Or what if? But if they were to actually come out, they can actually see how one person come up with something, and then there's like 6 or 7 other people who are trying to combat it, playing devil's advocate just to make sure it's safe. So that's one thing I'm very appreciative about with the sport.
Yeah. USPSA keeps it, to where you can kind of know what to expect, or you can know what to expect, safety wise, range command wise, that sort of thing. Every match you go to around the country.
Right. So let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break and then bring in Sergeant Gomez, and let's do that 5 minutes with Sergeant Gomez, and then we can go ahead and do the talking points before or after that. But we could talk about that on a commercial break. But everybody, please stay in your seats, and here are a few words from our sponsors.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
JM4 Tactical has developed a state-of-the-art polymer holster that will quickly become your go-to holster. With high-quality Herman oak leather securely sewn to the interior of the molded outer bolt-on shell, your draw becomes silent and no more scratches up and down your firearm. When seconds count, you can rest assured that you will have the upper hand when you need it most. Whether you carry open or concealed, the Relic holster is available in 4 different models, fitting over hundreds of different style guns. The new reliable, easy, light, individual carry holster by JM4 Tactical. Order your Relic today at jm4tactical.com.
What's up, good people? This is Michael Woodland from M-W Tactical,
This is Coach B from M-W Tactical.
and we are asking for your help with 2 GoFundMe campaigns that we have started. The first one is we are making a professional movie, and it's going to be about our day-to-day life within the sport of shooting. Details about this campaign can be found by visiting gofundme.com/we are making a professional movie. The second campaign, we are asking for you to donate to give financial assistance for those who cannot financially get the training they deserve. Remember, there are a lot of first-time gun owners out there, and I am asking for everyone in the gun industry to come together and make our community stronger. For more details, visit gofundme.com/free firearms training.
Remember how important training is to keep everyone informed and safe.
All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for sitting through that commercial break. But at the same time, I would like for everybody to go ahead and just pay those sponsors a visit and actually tell them you heard about them on the M-W Tactical Podcast, and you never know what you might receive in the mail after that. So, especially with Brian. So, you know how Brian is. You say hi to Brian, you might end up with a set of glasses for a season. Yeah. So, I think what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and jump into the segment called 5 Minutes with Sergeant Gomez. So, what do you think about that, Coach B?
I think that sounds good.
Oh my goodness, she sounds so enthusiastic about this.
Do it.
You want to go to jump into it?
Yep.
All right,
Let's
so
do
here we go. But this little intro, I think, is the hottest right now. So
Yeah, I want to hear it.
all right, so here we go with the intro. So when everybody, please chime in and tell me what you think about the intro for 5 Minutes with Sergeant Gomez. So here we go.
It's time to answer some questions from a dedicated citizen, a soldier in your United States Army, someone who was deployed and served with the host, Michael Woodland, a soldier who is seeking more knowledge to pass on to those who serve under him. He will ask the questions, and this is 5 Minutes with Staff Sergeant Gomez.
Hey, how's it going? M-W Tactical.
Going great, going great.
What's going on, Sergeant Gomez? How are you?
It's just excited for that new intro that finally came out. I think you changed it up from what you sent me the other day, right?
No, it's the same thing. I think the only thing I did was just take the music and pushed it out, so the wording in the middle was a little bit more
Like a little
expanded.
deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all right, I got 5 minutes. So first question, I've been kind of thinking about this. So for the new shooter, for somebody who's interested in going into the competition, if you had to go somewhere and you had to get 3 pieces of equipment, which would it be? The gun does not count because that's obvious. But as far as 3 other pieces of kit or equipment to benefit you on the line.
All right, I'll let Coach B go with that first.
I would say you would have to have a belt, magazine pouches, and I guess maybe a range bag.
Okay. All right, Dave, you want to go?
Yeah, it's belt, mag pouches, and outside the waistband holster. Those are a requirement of any division that you shoot. Depending on the division, you may need more mag pouches than some others. But bare minimum, regardless of what they are, they just need to be safe. The holster has to be secure. You need to be able to draw and reholster one-handed. The gun, doesn't need to be so loose that it can fall out of your holster while you're walking around. that's all you need, man. That's all you need to compete, other than some, eye protection, ear protection.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. The holster and your mag pouches, depending on what you prefer. And I always tell people, and I'm not brand specific when this happens, but the first thing always comes to my mind is I always tell people, always go with Bravo concealment, because it is a quality product. And even when I first started doing competition shooting, that was the first product that I actually had as far as gun holster and magazine pouches.
Okay, so Bravo Concealment. Yeah, I'm familiar with them. They've been around for a little while and very reputable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next question. We'll stick to the competition side of it. The shot timer. So usually they run anywhere between maybe $60 to $100, a little bit more sometimes, depending on what you're going for. Is there an app you recommend that you can download that you think is pretty effective as far as getting the cues or those beeps in a timely manner?
Only thing I would say about an app is there's going to be that delay, unlike an actual timer. So,
Okay.
But you can actually still get the training quality out of a timer from an app. But just remember that app timer is not going to be as much quality as an actual timer. The closest one that I've seen that's remotely close enough to an actual shot timer is the double alpha one they have, whereas it actually does it with the video and everything.
Yeah, you could use some apps for dry fire. I have not found one that works well with live fire. Actually, if you want to review, transition time or something during live fire, they don't seem to do a great job of picking up the actual shot. But if you just want something for a timer for practice for dry fire purposes, I mean, I'm sure those apps would work, but you really can't beat a timer for an actual, Pocket Pro or something like that. Range Commander. Is that what they are? The new ones? Range Commander?
Yeah, AMG Range Commander.
Yeah,
AMG Commander.
AMG Commander. Okay, yeah. Anyway, you really need a good, decent timer if you're going to do some live fire with it.
Okay. And then, so timer's important, but I think overall safety, right? So on the range, safety is a constant. Any first aid kits you'd recommend? Anything that you see that's out of the market that you say, okay, that is what you would need to pack a wound, get to the nearest hospital, and you should be okay based on the size of the IFAC?
I would actually say you can actually get like a kit made for gunshot wounds, or you can actually build it yourself, and that's nothing more than a lot of gauze, maybe the burn compound, like the wound, like the self-healing, not self-healing, but you know what I'm saying? It kind of closes it off so it wouldn't bleed out or anything.
Yeah, like a quick clot.
Yeah, the quick clot. That's what I was thinking of. But I would actually say just make sure you have good quality tourniquet, or if you don't have a tourniquet, the rat band, but just make sure you know how to use it properly, in the event that something like that, a tragic does happen on the range. But the best thing to do is if you have a big event, a lot of emergency services will come out there and sit for free just for the event if something did happen. And that's nothing more than linking up with that resource, like the fire department or the paramedic ambulance company or something like that.
Okay, so there's definitely there is a method to the EMT part of it. Because when I thought about it, I was thinking it was just, hey, you're on the range, your guys to your left and your right, and everyone's wearing a first aid kit. Everyone has a tourniquet.
Mm-hmm.
We should be okay, but we all know accidents happen, and it's good to know that you guys do have EMT on the ground for someone like certified specifically for that purpose.
Yeah, it's just like it was when I was in the military. whenever we go to the range, get with the medics and see who is available to go with us. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a checks and balance system that's in play.
All righty.
Mhm.
I think I'm up on these 5 minutes.
All right, that was it right there. Like I said, I thought you was gonna hit me off balance a little bit more than that.
I'm getting in there. I'm trying to find a rabbit hole, and we'll work our way in. But I have that 5-minute time hack that I'm just like, all right, we're not trying to go over it, but I think we did. I think we busted time by a little.
Yeah. So we good on that one. So I do want to thank you for coming on to the podcast, Sergeant Gomez, and whenever you're ready to do this again, let me know. This won't be every week unless he wants it to be every week, but every now and then we're gonna bring him on and let him ask us the questions and try to throw us off balance.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you for joining us.
I'll wrap them up.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right. Take care. All right. So I thought that was a little fun right there. Yeah. So I want to go ahead and jump into some questions. And the one thing I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to hit Coach B up on this like 2 days ago, but I was like, no, I'm going to save this for the podcast because we were talking about training and working out and what's going to come up as far as what we're going to do with shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask her, what is your take on the 1911 platform and the 2011 platform? And is the 1911 platform something you would consider for concealed carry or not?
As far as concealed carry, probably no.
Mm-hmm.
One, it does have the safety on it, and I don't want to have a safety. That's one other thing I've got to think about in a stressful situation. If I was to have to, pull out my firearm. So I don't want to have a firearm that has the safety on it. I'd rather have the Walther PPQ. That would be my pick. So, but as far as using it, the 2011 platform in competition, I like it. That's what I use. So, but no, not as far as in concealed carry. No.
Oh, I would have thought you would have been like, yeah, I think I can do the 1911 for concealed carry because it's the same platform that you shoot competition with. And then just having that notion of throwing that safety down and getting busy with it, I wouldn't think it would be that much of a difference.
Well, it may not be. But I guess I'm just used to using the firearm that I carry now that doesn't have the safety on it. And I may be okay either way. I don't know, but
Right.
I'm good where I'm at.
Or you're just saying like right now, but what you're carrying doesn't have a safety. That's what you feel more comfortable with.
Correct.
No, I'm with you on that. What about you, Dave? What's your take on the 1911 compared to the 2011 and the 1911 for concealed carry?
I probably would not carry a 1911 just because of the low magazine capacity. I like to have more rounds on hand.
Right.
There is a 2011 that I was actually trying to buy. I got a discount or a certificate for like $400 off of this gun, but Bull Armory is making. Mm-hmm. It's a SAS-2 ultra light Viper, and it's actually like a little miniature open gun.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, it's got a 1-port comp on it, a red dot, and it's a 2011 with the double stack magazine. And I thought it'd be perfect because I'm so accustomed to the 2011. I mean, I use that gun is in my hand every day. Why not have one to carry? So I don't even have to think about it. It's just the same ergonomics, same everything. But it didn't end up. The certificate I got didn't include that particular model of firearm. So
the certificate you got at Nationals.
Yeah. I saw it and I was like, heck yeah. but
yeah.
that didn't
So-
work out as planned. But
Yeah. So the only reason I brought that question up is last year there was a lot of contracts that came down with the Border Patrol, and I want to say the Texas Rangers maybe, and STI is on board with those contracts in that area, and they're providing those officers with the 1911 platform. And I'm on the fence when it comes to that for law enforcement. And the only reason I say that is because I'm a firm believer in having more rounds for the what if situation that could happen. The other thing is how often are these officers training with these firearms, and will it be enough rounds to get them through that motion? Because that magazine might have 8 rounds. So let's just happen to say,
yeah, and a 45. That's all I get.
Yeah. So an inexperienced shooter take it, put 1 in the chamber. So now you only got 1 in the chamber, 7 in the magazine, you know what I'm saying, versus Barneying up, you know, to put that 8 in the magazine. So you have 9 in total. But will that be enough to help them in that situation of whatever their job capacity is if they have to pull that firearm out?
Yeah, I don't know. You would hope so, but I know guys that carry 50 rounds on them because they've been in situations where 9 wasn't enough.
Oh yeah. So
So,
even for me, man, like being in the military, of course it's all different because we have a certain load we have to carry. And infantry soldier going outside the wire, basic combat load is, you know, 7 magazines, 210 rounds. But we always had that backpack with extra magazines loaded up in the event we did get pinned down and we had to resupply ourselves and everything like that, or, you know, extra rounds in the vehicle, you know, whatever the case may be. But an AR-15 and a 1911 are 2 different platforms.
yeah, very, very different. But
Yeah, so 2 different styles of defensive posture, you know. But even like when I conceal carry, depending on where I'm at or where I'm going, I might have up to 3 magazines with me, and on a regular day I know I have at least 2.
yeah, I mean, I have a mag pouch is connected to my holster, so anytime that gun goes with me, that extra magazine's going with me. I have how many do I have? There's 16, 28 rounds, something like that. I think I got 28 rounds on me at least at all times.
Yeah, that's it right there.
But one of the things, even, you know, I do like a higher mag capacity, but if I was, you know, if you're completely comfortable carrying a 1911 and only having 8 rounds, that's fine if you're comfortable with it. But I still like an extra magazine in case there's some sort of malfunction,
Right.
Where you have to drop that mag, whatever, clear the malfunction. If that's your only mag, then your gun's empty.
It's pretty much it's
You know, you might not necessarily run a mag empty, but it's nice to have that, you know, as a backup plan if something, you know, something does happen with that one magazine.
Yeah,
you got another one there.
Value. Yeah, like I said, that was the only reason I wanted to ask that question. And, you know, normally like when I'm reading something or I'm thinking of something, I like to get the female perspective of it. And like I said, the only person I really call about anything related to shooting is Coach B, because she does the shooting and the dry fire, you know, with me regularly. So
I think her perspective is great. I see so many inexperienced female shooters that especially now, you know, with today's climate, there's so many new gun owners wanting to conceal carry, new women buying guns for the first time. They seem to want all these safeties, extra safeties on the guns, grip safeties, thumb safeties, trigger safeties, safety, whatever, holster. It's and I think it's just from a lack of knowledge or experience with it. They're worried that they're going to shoot themselves or something. And I think it's great that Coach B has some experience, understands what she wants and what she needs, and realizes that the safeties can get in the way.
Yes.
Your finger's not on the trigger, that gun's not going to fire.
Mhm.
That's the most important safety, regardless of what gun it is. And it's a great perspective, though.
Oh yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask Coach B was the importance of training classes. What is your take on why you should take training classes, and how often, in your opinion, should you take a training class?
My thought is training class, you should take it as often as you can, but I feel that you should at least go to the range at least once a month, just so you get that live fire, you hear the firearm go off, and you're not scared of it. And to be honest, there's times when it's been a month or so that I've actually been to a competition or shot my firearm, and we would go to the range, and whenever the firearm would go off, I would dip. The firearm would dip, just because of me pulling or, kind of jerking the firearm. And it's just from not dry firing and not, being at the range and doing the competitions. I do the competitions, so I have that experience every week. Well, that's how it was at one point. So I have that every week of actually pulling the trigger and being comfortable with my shot placements. So that's really why I'm doing competition.
I mean, I get that. What is your take on the importance of getting training classes, Dave?
I think they're great, and there's a couple of different approaches, I guess. If you're just wanting to learn, gun handling and firearm safety, for the new gun owners, a training class is a great idea, great way to be introduced, to the proper gun handling, gun safety. Someone like yourself at M-W Tactical, knowledgeable person teaching you the correct and responsible way to handle your firearm is it's almost a requirement in my eyes. Buying a gun, doesn't mean you know how to use it now that you have one. I think I said it before, but I kind of always like comparing it to like a musician or buying a guitar or something, some instrument. Just because you buy that guitar doesn't mean you know how to play it. Doesn't make you a musician.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
It's and from the general gun handling safety aspects of firearm, handling, it's a great idea. But then there's also other trainers if you want to do competition specific stuff. And that is your goal. You want to improve, and move up the rankings in competition. There are guys that can cut down a lot of time, and help you improve, a lot more quickly than you probably could by yourself.
Right. So my take on it is, I think training is very important. Just like you said, there are a ton of new shooters out here. And when I was younger, my dad used to always say, if you ever come to me with a problem, you should come to me with a solution for that problem also. And one thing I was taking notice, every so many months, you would always hear, oh, now we got the highest record of background checks for 2020 over the past 5 years. Right. So that was like, let's say April, May timeframe. Then it happened again in August, September timeframe. And then when you look at the November, December timeframe, it even went higher. So now we have all these new people out here with firearms. What is really unsafe now in society? People got these firearms and they don't know what to do with them. They don't have the training. So my solution was, okay, I need help with this. So if everybody will donate to the GoFundMe, go to gofundme.com/free firearms training. and donate what you can. And this is a nationwide program. So let's just happen to say somebody from Michigan contacts me and say, hey, I want to, see about this free firearm training. I will contact somebody in Michigan, and there's a process we're going to go through to make sure this person is qualified, to receive this free firearms training. And then the money out of that pot, we send it to that instructor to teach that person who they recommend or whoever contacted us about the free firearms training. So it's not just local for here in South Carolina. This is a nationwide thing, because that number just didn't happen in South Carolina. It happened, let's say 49 states, so that's my take on it. So, but I do understand the importance of training, because, just overlooking something can be detrimental to somebody else's livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just something to think about. But training is something I always push. Even myself, pre-COVID, I would still go get training with other instructors around the nation 4 or 5 times a year. I didn't do it this year because of the COVID situation and the ammo situation that's in place. So that's the one thing that's preventing me from doing the training at that level that I always like to do. And it keeps you relevant and on point with everything. Just like if you shoot with your friends all the time, you're going to get complacent, and then over time you're going to start overlooking certain things. But that same time schedule, if you were to go to a different instructor, they might snap you out. Hey, you're forgetting this, you're forgetting that. Like, oh man, I can't believe I overlooked that. I've been doing it so long, it's second nature now. So
yeah, I think I worked with 4 different instructors last year.
Yeah.
And it was kind of tough. And now there's so many new gun owners, and ammo is so scarce.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to plan a big class like we're accustomed to seeing,
Right.
where you're shooting several hundred rounds of ammo at a class. I don't know, class design may have to change for the next couple of years or so. I don't know.
Yeah. One thing I really enjoy doing was going up to Bill Rogers shooting school. And that is a costly class, and you're shooting like 500 rounds a day for a week. So yeah. So by the time you get finished with that class every day, you are mentally drained. So
I bet.
yeah, so and they do the reactive still. So you're shooting the still that pops up and then it falls down in like half a second. And they actually, in a roundabout way to tell you, they just teach you to relax your mind, focus on the front sight post, and just slowly press the trigger. And then the next thing you know, you're hitting 12 plate racks as they're appearing. Like when the plates pop up, you're just knocking them all down, no problem. Like it's really fun. But
That sounds fun.
Yeah, but when you actually sit there and read about it and you look at video, you'd be like, oh man, that's gonna be challenging. And you put that unnecessary stress on yourself, and they work you through it. So it's like every day it just keeps ramping up. And by the time you get to the end, you'd be like, oh man, this ain't nothing. So but I made a decision that I wanted to do that class every year, moving forward. But like I said, this year, because of COVID and the primer situation, ammo situation, it's just not going to happen this year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are in that same situation, going to have to figure it out somehow.
Yeah. So, but like I said, we never know what's going to happen 3 months from now, but let's cross our fingers and pray for the best.
Yep.
So, the next segment, we have an interview with the United States Army Marksmanship Unit Open 3-gunner, Sergeant First Class Joel Turner. Joel Turner, not Joe Turner. And his perspective of shooting, it's pretty unique. You know what I'm saying? Like just seeing somebody shoot at that level and hearing their take on everything is kind of one of those moments that open your eyes. So I know I asked Coach B this a time or two before, but 3-gun, yay or nay?
No.
Is it you're saying no because of the shotgun or no because it's 3 different shooting platforms?
I think just because there's 3 different shooting platforms. I just no.
I think you would have fun with the handgun, of course, and then the AR platform. I believe you will have fun with those. I just think the shotgun will be something that you would slow yourself down and make sure you're doing everything properly.
Right.
So are you familiar with a shotgun? Like shot one a few times and realize like, okay, I like it or I don't like it?
I think the only one that I've ever shot was like a 410.
Okay.
That's it. I don't know.
All right, Dave, we got a mission.
I've got a shotgun. I won it at a pistol match of all places.
Oh, man, I got a couple of them. I still got a semi-automatic shotgun.
I don't know how to use it. I mean, I think I can point it in the general direction of something. And I don't know. I'm terrible at shotguns.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on them either, but I am familiar with it enough to take a hinge off a door.
Well, yeah, I bet I could do that.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break and then jump back into the interview with Sergeant First Class Joel Turner from the United States Army Marksmanship Unit. And let's hear his take on what he thinks about shooting and how he looks at shooting and why. So please, everybody, stay in your seats. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
Hey, this is Brian Conley with Hunters HD Gold, and you are listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast.
What's up, good people? Thank you for taking the time and listening to the M-W Tactical Podcast. Please go visit the M-W Tactical store at www.m-wtactical.com/store and help support our efforts by purchasing a shirt or two. If you haven't done so, go follow us on Instagram and Facebook by searching for M-W Tactical.
The gun cleaners.
Our solvent is, I think, second to none. Our lube is second to none. Our lube's heavier than water, which is just a huge thing. People don't really put a lot of thought into that, just how huge that is to have on your gun, especially with concealed carry.
The gun cleaners.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You're going to sweat a lot of the other lubes off. With ours, it'll stay there.
The gun cleaners.
And maintaining the quality of the process, the quality of the end result is another, and you guys are able to do both with the process that you have there.
Order your supply of the lube and the solvent at www.theguncleaners.com.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made at an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
I'm Jason Pratt, Masterclass USPSA shooter, owner of Brass Monkey Bullets. If you're interested in competition bullets, visit www.brassmonkeybulletsllc.com or call me at 423-967-1063. For more information, my email is brassmonkeybulletsllc@gmail.com. Thank you.
What's up, good people? This is Michael Woodland from M-W Tactical.
This is Coach B from M-W Tactical.
And we are asking for your help with 2 GoFundMe campaigns that we have started. The first one is we are making a professional movie, and it's going to be about our day-to-day life within the sport of shooting. Details about this campaign can be found by visiting gofundme.com/we are making a professional movie. The second campaign, we are asking for you to donate to give financial assistance for those who cannot financially get the training they deserve. Remember, there are a lot of first-time gun owners out there, and I am asking for everyone in the gun industry to come together and make our community stronger. For more details, visit gofundme.com/free firearms training.
Remember how important training is to keep everyone informed and safe.
All right, good people, we're back at it again, and thank you for sitting through the commercial break for the M-W Tactical Podcast. This week, we are interviewing a member from the United States Army Marksmanship Unit. And of course, you have to be on top of your game to be even remotely considered to be a part of this team. These guys do put in the long hours of work, but at the same time, it shows through their performance. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Joel Turner from the United States Army Marksmanship Unit to the M-W Tactical Podcast. How's it going for you, Joel?
Hey, it's going good, man. I appreciate you taking time to have me on your podcast.
Hey, like I said, I can also extend that same gratitude for you coming on to the podcast. So I enjoy talking guns as much as I can. So you got the time, let's do it.
Awesome.
That's it right there. So can you tell the listening audience, who is Joel Turner?
Well, how far in the weeds do you want me to go?
You can deep as you like.
I'm originally from Anderson, South Carolina. Then I spent a little bit of time in Belton, where I graduated Belton Hunting Path, for anybody that might know where that's at. I joined the Army in 2006. I'm a product of, essentially the Twin Towers going down, and, I wanted to make them pay. So, I wanted to do something cool and something that, I thought was worthwhile, and I wanted to join the Army. And I talked to a cousin of mine, and he got me convinced to go through what's called a RIP contract, basically to become a Ranger. And I went through basic, airborne, through RIP, and then I was assigned at 3rd Ranger Battalion in 2006. I did my first 4-year enlistment there. I'd pretty much done everything I wanted to do at the time, and I wanted to change of pace, and I was going to get out. And I had the opportunity to try out and come over and be a part of the United States Army Marksmanship Unit. And fortunately for me, the interview went well. I went over there and in 2010, and I've been there since. My first year and a half there, I essentially was part of standing up what's now the instructor training group. I didn't single-handedly stand it up, but I was one of the first members there. Right. Did that for about a year and a half, just training the force in basic, advanced rifle and pistol marksmanship. And then I got another even better opportunity within the unit to come over and try out for the action shooting team, which I had zero experience. That's not commonplace for our team. However, everything just happened to fall into place where it worked out. It took me a couple of years to kind of figure things out, picking everybody's brain, from Daniel Horner, Shane Coley, Matt Sweeney at the time, all the great shooters that I grew up with. So fast forward now, and I've been on the team for about 8 years, maybe 9 now.
Hey, well, like I said, those names you just mentioned, that is a plethora of knowledge right there. And not too many people can actually say they can dig from the greats or legends like that to seek
for
that
free.
shooting knowledge. Exactly. Exactly. Now, another thing you had mentioned was you said that you were from Anderson, South Carolina, and you went to school in Belton. Now,
Correct.
In April, they're doing the South Carolina section, even though we know you don't shoot USPSA, but there is going to be a USPSA section match there in Belton, South Carolina, 30 April through 2 May.
Correct. Yeah, I actually wasn't even, that's not normally a match that we go to every year. Browning is actually the guy that's going to be shooting, and I just saw it on the board. I'm like, you're shooting in my hometown. And like back then I had no clue that about shooting sports in general, to be honest with you. I grew up around guns. I love shooting. I spent the majority of my time in the woods if I wasn't at school. So, I grew up on shooting, but I never had a competition background. And I was kind of upset once I found out there was a pretty well-established gun club there.
Man, tell me about it. The same thing happened to me when I was in the military. I didn't find out about the marksmanship unit until I was an E6, about to make E7. And I was like, man, oh man. And so, of course, when I found out about it, I was trying to do the research and everything. And then it was like, you can't be an E7 and go there and shoot. You can work there, you just can't be an E7. I was like, man, okay, cool. I wish I would have known about that sooner.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because there's only so many E7 slots, and they're typically they're going to be a leadership role.
Right.
So, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know that pain and struggle. So now whenever I talk to people when it comes to shooting, I always tell them, make sure you start your kids off young. And if you go to these matches, let your kids shoot the match. Don't put the pressure on them, but let them have fun with it. Somebody's always looking at them. And then it might be somebody from the military that says, hey, we got our eye on your child. Keep up that work, and we'll reach out to you when it's time for them to get to high school or about to graduate or something.
Yep. That's very true. Just to give you the most current status of the team is we got, well, I say we have, but we're filling 2 slots currently. We got one guy that's going through basic currently, and we have another guy that's essentially, he's on his way to the recruiting office to basically sign up to come join our team. So we got 2 new people coming within the next year.
Nice. That's always.
And one of them being 17, he'll graduate this year, and once he graduates, he'll essentially go through basic.
That's it right there. So you can't argue that. And then too, by him coming just straight out of basic, straight to the marksmanship unit, he's not having no bad habits from what you pick up from in the military.
Yeah. I will say, just from talking to instructor group guys, and then just being there myself, I've definitely seen a huge improvement as far as the need for marksmanship training.
Oh yeah, that's always across the board. So only reason I say that is because I joined the military back in '94, and I've always been one that was into firearms, marksmanship.
Sure.
And there was maybe 2 or 3 units, whereas they designated somebody to be in charge of marksmanship, and they really wasn't that qualified to teach it. So they was teaching their own philosophy, which was messing up a lot of people. And as a private, you really can't say too much. You're like, when I was in basic, drill sergeant said this, why not do this?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some people are kind of set in their ways, and the problem with that is usually they can't tell you why they're telling you that, other than that's what they were told, and that's all they know. So
and
I know what you don't know. So
I see that on the civilian market a lot. Like there's a lot of people out here who want to become instructors because they think it's easier because other people make it look easy. But there's a lot of time and sacrifice you have to put into that by you being an instructor, just so you can stay relevant and making sure you're not telling people the wrong information. And it's a game of cat and mouse. It's just going to keep chasing its own tail, but you learn by failing, though. That's the only way you really learn. You learn by failing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did you actually get involved with 3-gun?
So, like I had said before, Horner actually pulled me off to the side, and they were looking to fill a slot. And I honestly couldn't tell you why at the time, but he said, hey, you want to try out? And I was like, absolutely. So you fast forward, and I have no clue what I'm doing. I always fancy myself as a pretty good shooter coming into that unit, right?
Right.
Until you shoot with people who are actually like substantially better than you are, and then you're like, uh-oh, humble check. Like, you know, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I need to listen to these people and pick their brain. And there for like the first 2 years, I think I was pretty annoying to them as far as like, you know, they were at a level where like they're sustaining and going out there shooting a little bit here, maybe a little more leading up to a bigger match. But like, I'm like wanting to shoot constantly all the time. That's the way Browning is. Unfortunately, he hasn't toned that down. He still has that like hardcore drive, and I commend him for that. But I started shooting TAC Ops because back then, like, that's pretty much the only division that, I mean, it's still probably the most popular division in 3-gun. But somebody had the bright idea there probably 6 years ago that, hey, why are we shooting against ourselves? Because most of the times we'd end up 1, 2, 3, or 4 or something like that at a match, when we can exploit our capabilities of shooting all divisions and maybe coming home with a win in every single division, which makes the unit look even that much more applicable. So
right.
I transitioned over to limited, shot that. That's when I won my first national title in 2015, shooting the limited division. And then we weren't allowed to shoot open division because that was an old school commander choice. And we had a new commander come in and said, why don't we shoot open? I'm like, I raised my hand. so I've been shooting that for, I don't even know now, like maybe 3 years. And it's probably, I mean, it's just fun. I don't care what people say. Like, you know, TAC Ops obviously requires a little more finesse with quad loading. I've been down that road. I can quad load, but I shoot open because it is just the funnest division. You just go all the way in. Like, you don't hold anything back, and you just, unfortunately, I hate to say, you just full send, you know.
Wow.
Because you got all the extra ammo to do so.
Yeah. So my buddy, the co-host of this podcast, he is big in the open, and he will not shoot nothing unless it has, he will shoot like a limited gun just for fun. But when it comes to competition, it has to have a red dot on it. So, you know, so he's all about that, you know. So like I said, now hear you saying that, it's just like I'm having a conversation with him now when it comes to talking about the open division. You know, so that's pretty funny to me. But to let you know, I've always told him I'm scared of the open division, and not scared to shoot it. I'm just scared financially, because I know once you get into it, man, you'll be dumping that money into it. And like I told him, starting off with an open gun, easily $7,000 to $10,000, depending on the brand that you go with.
Oh yeah, 100%. And you're talking USPSA, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, and then you switch over to the 3-gun, and you got 3 guns that,
yeah,
I mean, you don't necessarily need a super nice Infinity open gun or something of that nature. I'm not trying to throw out name brands. I'm just giving you, everybody knows what good open guns are, but like I shoot like just a standard STI, like single port slide rod dot, you know, because I can get away with that in 3-gun. But like the shotgun, man, like I think baseline, the one I shoot, it would cost the average person $4,000 with one magazine, you know. That's for one of the other guns, you know. Yeah, it's definitely could get expensive.
Yeah, trust me. I've done, the first time I did a 3-gun match, it was when I was in the military there at the Marksmanship Unit, and it was fun. The second time I did a 3-gun match, I had to pay for everything, and I was like, this is not going to go well for me in my pockets.
Oh yeah.
So now, what is your makeup? Because you already said you're shooting the STI and the AR platform. What brand are you shooting, or is it something custom that the Marksmanship Unit came up with? And
No. So well, I'll just be upfront with you right now. Like, the cool thing about being in the Army is we're sponsored by the Army. So like it's not like a normal sponsored shooter where like I get in a product from X, Y, or Z company, right? We get to pick what we like. So usually if we're using something, it's because it's reliable or it's something that we prefer. So like every individual on the team might shoot something completely different,
right?
If that makes any sense. So like, and when it comes to ARs, like most of our ARs are just whatever regular standard forged upper lower receiver, and then like our custom firearm shop will hand turn like Krieger barrels to whatever profile we want, and so they're built in house, if that makes any sense. And I couldn't tell you what every gun that everybody shoots, you know.
Oh yeah, trust me, I know how that can be, because the selection process y'all have, that's like the Matrix in the sense of speaking. Yeah. So now, what has been your funnest match, and what would you consider to be the worst match, whereas you probably felt like you failed, but it was more of a learning experience?
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to get me to say on a podcast what match I thought was like poorly run or something. I was like, I'm not going to do that.
No.
So you're talking about what was my best match that I shot, and
Right.
then what was the worst match that I shot. Oh, that's actually, let me think here. I will say, so I don't know if I'm going to necessarily directly answer your question, but like, I'd say my best match, not necessarily my best match, but my favorite match. I got to shoot this past year, 2020, was the Memorial 3-gun, and I'll tell you like multiple reasons why. It's an exceptionally well-ran match, super professional. It's all ran by former, usually special operation type soldier guys that are retired now or medically retired. And what they do, that foundation takes every single penny made during the match, entry fees and all that stuff, products sent in, side shoots, and it all goes to Gold Star families. I got to be a part of that for the first time and actually shoot it this past year. And it's an awesome match. And like, if people aren't going to it, they need to go to it, because I mean, if anything, it's just go to support a good cause. That would be like, that's like the one match from now on, like we will always attend, just because of like, and at the end, at the award ceremony, you get all the Gold Star families that get up there and talk about, you know, their loved ones that they lost. And it's pretty, it kind of reminds you like, you know, like why you signed the dotted line. And then my worst match, I would have to say it would have to be USPSA Multi-Gun Nationals in 2019. That would be the year that I had the infamous disqualification.
Oh,
I did. Yeah, it wasn't anything cool. I didn't yak one off into space and shoot a bald eagle or anything like that. But you know, there was this weird option. It wasn't even our team. I'm sure a lot of people think we came up with this crazy. We don't really game stuff too much, but there was somebody in our squad that said, you know, hey, I read the rules, and the rules say you can put your gun down. And without going into the weeds of why, it made the most sense. It saved you from going all the way down 10 yards and back to dump a rifle. So we were able to put our gun down, even though the rule wasn't made for that. I put it down, but the rule was you can't get more than 3 feet away from it. So guess who was the only person that got 3 foot away from the rifle while shooting the pistol?
Oh man,
I'm raising my hand. You can't see it, but that's me. I did that, and yeah, I got disqualified from the match that I was pretty sure I was going to win. So that kind of burst my bubble, because I'd been getting second place for 2 years leading up to that in Open, and you know, I was like, you know, kind of tired of being the first loser, and that was it. I was going to prove myself, and then it didn't happen. But fortunately, I was blessed enough next year, fought tooth and nail with Scott Green to barely squeak in first place. So
Gotcha. See, for me, I won't go back to the beginning, because last year was the year I put a lot of emphasis on my shooting. So last year, the best match that I felt I shot was Area 6. The most funnest match that I felt, or the more fun match that I shot for the year, was probably Area 6 again. And the match that I felt like I didn't do my full potential to, but I learned the most from after doing it, was probably Nationals.
Okay. And why was that? Like, why did you learn the most there? I'll ask the questions now.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. All right. So with Nationals, what actually ended up taking place, looking at the matchbook and noticing how far some targets were on a couple ranges, it played that trick on my mind versus trusting in my ability as far as taking a 40-yard shot, with the handgun. And what I actually ended up doing was changing the 0 on my handgun. But when I went out and did it, I rushed it instead of taking my time and ensuring that it was done properly. So when I got down there to nationals and I started shooting, I realized, hold on, my rounds are not striking where I'm looking at now. Even with the correction, I should have been a little bit higher on a closer target, but all my shots were low, way low. And I was like, what in the world? So between the stages, I'm adjusting my sights, trying to get my 0 back somewhat close to familiar for me. And of course, nationals is 3 days.
Sure.
The third day is when I actually got them somewhat remotely close where I felt comfortable to shoot.
And you ended up back at your original 0?
Close to it. It was close to it.
Gotcha.
But you got to remember, those 3 days, you're shooting 21 stages. But on the third day, I'm down to the last 7 or 6, whatever it was, before I was like, okay, I can rock this out, So I ended up coming in something 110th, 113th, maybe 115, whatever it was, 100 and something. But I felt honestly in my heart, I would have been in the top 70 or 80 just performing the way I was preparing up to that match. But like I said, you missing those targets and got to guesstimate. I got to hold it a little bit higher and hit the no shoots. I'm like, oh my goodness, man, this is horrible. So nationals, national was that one match that opened my eyes up to trust your abilities and don't even worry about, what took place. What I should have done instead of messing with my 0 was go out there and practicing the longer shots with the 0 I already had.
And
on
just
the
knowing your hold for because it wasn't like every shot was long range. I'm assuming I didn't shoot it, but
yeah, but John Browning, he went out there and he rocked that one. He barely pulled it off, as he stated, but I was like, man, you pulled that off with no problem at all.
I've seen him train, and that is something like everybody's kind of got their thing, and I would give Browning, I would give him, like, he's a very accurate shooter. Very accurate shooter.
Yes, I agree with that one, 100%. And one thing I did say, and I didn't say this until after I shot a match with him, and what actually ended up taking place, we went to East Alabama Gun Club there in Alabama.
Yep.
And we actually squatted with him. Now, prior to this, I met him probably one time, but it wasn't like an end-up conversation. It was, hey, how you doing? I see your shots and everything. Great shooter. Have a nice day. Reading on him, looking at video, I'm like, yo, this guy's good. Actually shooting the match with him, I was like, yo, this guy's a beast. I was like, no, everything everybody is putting out about him, they are not remotely touching the surface. This match at East Alabama Gun Club, he ended up winning it overall, but he beat out all the people that was PCC and beat out all the open shooters also.
Which is awesome.
That is awesome. Yeah, I was like, yo, that dude is on a different level right now. If you're doing something like that. And not to take credit away from anybody who shoots at East Alabama Gun Club, because there is phenomenal talent there.
Absolutely.
And for him to do that, that was not an easy feat. That was not an easy feat, So I was like, yo, this guy is a beast. And I said it that day. If I had the opportunity, or if I can make it happen, I want to practice with him a few times in a year, like maybe 3 or 4 times, and just pick his brain and see how he does things and how everything equates for it.
Yeah, and there's so many people that won't do that, that won't, like, because that's, I'm always learning. I'm always willing to learn, but that's how I've gotten where I've gotten, not on my own accord, but from literally just saving training time by just asking people that were substantially better than me, hey, what do you do right here? What do you do coming in this position? Oh, you come in with that foot. Oh, well, that makes sense. I would have never figured that out on my own, or it would have taken years.
Yeah.
And you just saved me years of training with this dumb thing that, like, you spent 5 minutes showing me. Now I'm like, I can practice that and I'm 10% better or something like that. That's the thing that people, they want to spend more money on ammunition, which obviously right now
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to do, but like, just spend the money on the people that are, are proven. You can look at practice score that are better than you, and if they're willing to train you, then you might as well spend however much to just spend just an hour with them. You can learn a lot in an hour.
Yeah, trust me, I know. Trust me, I really know that. So
but John Browning, you ain't even got to, like, he don't even solicit it. Like, you just go there and he will just help you. Like, you would never know. If you ask him, he would gladly show you, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, he's a very humble heart person. So that's one thing I do appreciate and I like about him is his desire to get everybody better than what they were.
Oh yeah.
So in my personal view, because as I told you earlier, I don't really follow 3-gun. I follow it, but I'm not in depth with it. But over the past 2 years, I want to give it, it seems like the sport is dying off in a sense of speaking. And the only reason I say that is there were a couple clubs in the area of South Carolina and North Carolina that were hosting a lot of 3-gun matches. And they're kind of like dying off a little bit. And like the club here in South Carolina, they host a 3-gun match, but it's not the 3-gun nation match that they were doing beforehand.
Correct.
Yes.
And it could get very political, and I'm not going to do that, and I'm not your guy for that. However, I know exactly what you're talking about. I've seen it. I mean, there used to be probably 5 to 6 big matches that everybody went to every single year, on top of 3 other like training matches, but they've kind of dwindled down, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and we've all come to the same agreement that essentially there's no standard governing body. Now, there's obviously, you can look up different governing bodies, but you got West Coast guys and you got East Coast guys.
Right.
Really you got more West Coast guys, but there's nobody governing all of it to kind of make a certain rule set that it's easy to follow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. Because everybody want to put their own view into it, but they want to put that view into it which accommodates them for their level and the rules that fit their state or area. Versus you try to come out to the East Coast and do the same thing. We might have more options than they do out West, which can add to the sport. And the two minds are not actually talking to work out the solution.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, I get that all day. Now,
and it is a lot cheaper to get one gun like a pistol.
Yes,
I'm just train on that.
I'm a big fan of that one myself. Now, USPSA, they have a new division coming out, and it's with a handgun, and it's also with the PCC rifle.
Yes.
Have you thought of that, considered that, talked to anybody about that new division?
No, I mean, I've actually talked with Mike Foley very briefly. And he, I was actually curious. I'd heard rumors that multi-gun nationals wasn't going to happen for a bunch of different reasons, but I guess wherever they're hosting it, they can do PCC and pistol. And I don't think it should take the place of 3-gun. However, I do think it's a great division because there might be some club where the furthest they can shoot is 25 yards,
right, or
50 yards, or because ballistically they can't shoot high-powered rifles there, or whatever reason. It gives you, you still get the rifle feel. You can put a little bit harder shots, with a PCC, and still have the handgun to kind of separate people. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a terrible division. I mean, the sport's got to grow, so it doesn't die. And I guess it would be easier to, buy one caliber as well.
Yeah, I
instead of having
was thinking about that same thing. Like, okay, you decide to shoot this division, and of course, if you reload, you're reloading your 9mm for your handgun and PCC. Will
Yep.
that same load work depending on if you're making your load to meet 125 power factor as close as possible, but would you use that same load in the PCC, or would you go a different route? You know what I'm saying? So are you doing?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on if they kept power factor with that, because, you know,
Right.
typically multi-gun rules there's no power factor,
Right.
you know, and which I think that if they want to grow that, then I think that they shouldn't incorporate power factor into at least the PCC, or if you want to call it, I guess it is technically multi-gun. It's 2 guns,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
because then you get a guy that's got, you know, halfway decent Glock 34, and then he's got his PCC that runs Glock mags. Now he doesn't even have to buy extra mags. He can use the same mags interchangeably and the same ammo. So I don't know.
Yeah, I want
That's
to
my
say
opinion.
when I read about that, that was one thing they took into consideration when they was looking at making this new division. And the other thing I want to say, this is on my take on it. Back when I first got into shooting on a very serious note, there was a lot of 2-gun matches happening in the North Carolina area. And it was basically a handgun and then an AR platform rifle.
Yep.
And I was wondering if this was something that somebody possibly shot and said, hey, this might be a great idea for handgun and PCC, or is it something that they said, okay, let's try to snowball effect the shooting sport and let's put it under USPSA with the multi-gun rules. So, but I'm curious to know how they actually decided to come up with that platform of shooting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that if you're going to stick with a 2-gun, I think they should give people the option of a 223 or something like that and a pistol. Because I agree with the concept, because unfortunately with 3-gun, I love 3-gun, and I'm going to stick to 3-gun until it dies if it does. But it's substantially cheaper, because it's really hard to justify buying a $1,200 to upwards of a $4,000 shotgun just to do that, when once you're done with that 3-gun match, you can go hunt with your AR. I'm not saying you can't hunt with your shotgun, but most states you can't go out there with a 20-round magazine or a drum and go hunting with your shotgun. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
At least for birds, but it's something that the common person could jump in there with. Everybody. I mean, there's a lot of people in America with an AR and a pistol. So.
Right. So now we know 3-gun is your bread and butter. That's your go-to.
Yes.
Out of the 3 firearms, and let's not even put a stage into play, what would be the one system between the handgun, AR, and the shotgun you prefer shooting in a 3-gun competition?
Prefer shooting. I'm going to go with a pistol. Okay.
Okay.
And the main reason I prefer shooting pistol is because especially if it's an optional stage, not necessarily always, but most of the time, it's almost more beneficial to just shoot a pistol instead of a rifle, for the sake of just being able to maneuver better, tight positions, as long as the shots aren't too hard. Mm-hmm. And the main thing is our team, and just training, growing up working with Dan and other guys on the team, like I've noticed that is most people's downfall is pistols. So I like to exploit that. I mean, we probably, this is a made up percentage, but I tell everybody this anyways, it's like 80 to 85% of our training is pistol.
Okay.
10% of it is long range rifle, and the rest of it's just kind of make sure my shotgun runs. I don't spend a lot of time on shotgun. Although it is fun. I do enjoy the shotgun when, you're watching people, drop shells and, shoot 4 shots and have to load 4 shots. And I can kind of get a little belligerent with it and throw a few extra misses here and there and still be okay.
So I would have honestly thought that you would have put more emphasis on the shotgun versus the AR. But that's not the case. Yeah.
No. I mean, close range rifle for me is whatever. In my opinion, that's a filler. It matches, but offhand, that's something. Let me correct myself. I say offhand. Everybody on the team says offhand.
Mm-hmm.
What that really means for us is just standing unsupported. That doesn't mean shooting weak side for most people that call it that. But standing unsupported, like typical 3-gun match would be like shooting a plate rack or shooting some 50-yard 8-inch steel or something. That's as long as if I've done my research right and I know that match is going to be have every other stage is going to have some offhand rifle or something like that, I'm going to put a lot of focus on that, not so much on the close hoser paper. That's kind of, you need to train on it, but like that's the stuff where people are going to miss a lot is standing unsupported, and then also long range with rifle. But I think I went down my own rabbit hole.
No, you're good.
That answered your question.
Yeah, it did. Because the one thing about it is, like I said, honestly, I thought you would have put more emphasis on the shotgun because of the fact you do have the shotgun team there, and you can also go out there to their compound, and I'm pretty sure the whole pool and shoot the disc in the air, the clay.
That's a great question because it's not very common anymore, unfortunately. Matches like Rocky Mountain, like the old Rocky Mountain, they used to, you'd probably shoot 12 flyers in a match, which for a shotgun shooter, that's not a lot, but for a 3-gun, that's when times when we actually would exploit that. We'd go down to shotgun, and back before I had a dot on my shotgun, it's a little different, but like the shotgun, it's complete opposite when you want to aim stuff naturally, but like you end up finding that's like a downfall, and like you want to actually they teach you watch the clay, and like your brain will, it's weird. Mm-hmm. Like they'll kind of say a few magic words, but like you just watch the clay and you hit it. It's that simple for the most part. Yeah. But like we'd go down there and we'd shoot their international flyers, which I forget like how fast they're going.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say like, I don't even want to say, but 90 miles an hour. Could be completely off, something like that. They're really fast. They're substantially faster than what we would see at the match. So when we go there and we're busting those, we're like, we're good now. Everything else is slow motion. But yeah, we absolutely would do that if the match coming up was going to have that. Like I said, we don't just go to every match we go to. We don't just train the same way. We, at least for me personally, like I remember that match, there was a lot of offhand rifle, or there was a lot of clay. So I'm going to go down to shotgun and spend a couple of days down there and kind of get tuned up, because that's 10 seconds per clay I miss or whatever. It's important, it just depends on the match.
Yeah, I got you on that one. So, what's next for Joel Turner?
What's next for me? Texas tune-up, and it's good they call it that. It's like end of February, so it's my first match for at least for the 3-gun guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a good match. It's got a little bit of everything: some fast-paced base stages, some longer range, some natural terrain-esque stages. Last year we shot out of a moving UTV, so
fun.
They got a little bit of everything. So you just go there and it's a fun match, but it's also, it's got all the flavors. We go there just to it might identify something that I'm weak at. I'm like, oh, well, I need to work on this before the next month, and I go to the next match or whatever. But yeah, Texas tune-up. I think this will be the second year of it, but it's a really fun match.
Now, how many matches a year do you try to shoot, or does the unit say, okay, we want you to go to this match on top of whatever else you want to do?
I'm assuming this is a pre-COVID question.
Yes, pre-COVID. Yeah. Let's don't talk COVID.
So typically, on a good year, each discipline, and I'm talking about like 3-gun, USPSA, or PRS is the divisions our team covers, like typically 8 to 10 matches. That's a pretty good year. And the only reason we don't do more, usually we do like one a month, like one good match a month. And then like we'll run All Army Small Arms Championship and our Fort Benning multi-gun, which is once a year, which is kind of how we give back to the community. But that's, usually our year is slap full of shooting or training or running matches.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I know it can be busy for you, but at the same time, the knowledge that you bring to the table from actually putting forth it during competition and sharing it with the community and other people who are interested in coming into the sport. That's priceless right there.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So if the good people who are listening want to actually look at your videos, follow you on social media, or just contact you and ask questions or just want to talk to you, how can they do that?
Yeah, so I've actually there for a while. I took a break from social media and was just kind of focusing on me and the family and stuff. But I actually just got back on to social media, still trying to minimize it. But you can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Facebook would just be Joel Turner Jr. It's a picture of me with my family, and then my Instagram page, it should just be Joel Turner Jr. as well. Most people know their handle, but
Oh, trust me.
I mean, give me 1 second, I'll tell you, just to make sure I'm not telling you. Yeah, just type in Joel Turner Jr. It's Joel _Turner _Jr. for Instagram. So if anybody actually cares to hit me up.
Somebody will hit you up. You never know. You never know. All right. So like I said, I do appreciate you coming on to the M-W Tactical Podcast. And before we depart, are there any last words you want to share with the listening audience?
Hang in there. This too shall pass. I don't get too wrapped around all the drama that's happened the past year. We'll get past it as we always do. Keep training. And to use your platform, if you don't have a relationship with God, I would highly recommend, if you know somebody that does, maybe just ask a question and maybe that'll light a fire. And, that's in my opinion, that's the only thing that really matters. So
that's it. Yeah, that's it right there.
I appreciate you having me, and hope everybody out there has a good night.
Oh, yeah.
And you as well.
Oh, yeah. So thank you for coming on to the show. And for everybody else, please stay in your seats. And here are a few words from our sponsors.
Are you in the market to purchase your first or next firearm, but find the atmosphere of a gun store intimidating, crowded, or uninviting? There's a way for you to purchase the gun you want while avoiding the crowds, the gruff salesmen, and the marked up prices that come with a brick and mortar gun store. The process is called a transfer, where the purchase is made at an online store and sent to a federally licensed middleman called an FFL, who processes the paperwork and background check for a firearm purchase. CAE Transfers is the FFL with the lowest transfer cost in the Midlands at only $20 or $15 with the presentation of a South Carolina concealed weapons permit and $10 for repeat customers. If you live in Columbia, South Carolina or its surrounding areas, choose CAE Transfers as your FFL during checkout and let me help you complete your online gun purchase. You can find and follow CAE Transfers online at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using @CAE Transfers. Thank you for your business, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Hey, this is Brian Conley at Hunters HD Gold. If you've never tried Hunters HD Gold, then I challenge you to find me at a match next year. Go to the website under scheduled events, find out where I'm going to be. Come meet me in person and demo a pair for yourself. Find out why shooters across the United States are changing to Hunters HD Gold to get 43% more light to their eyes, better contrast, eyes that are not fatigued at the end of the day based on the colors that we use, and find out the real meaning of why they change so you don't have to. So check us out on our website, huntershdgold.com, and I look forward to seeing you at the range soon.
The Gun Cleaners.
Our solvent is, I think, second to none. Our lube is second to none. Our lube's heavier than water, which is just a huge thing. People don't really put a lot of thought into that, just how huge that is to have on your gun, especially with concealed carry.
The Gun Cleaners.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
You're going to sweat a lot of the other lubes off. With ours, it'll stay there.
The Gun Cleaners.
And maintaining the quality of the process, the quality of the end result is another, and you guys are able to do both with the process that you have there.
Order your supply of the lube and the solvent at www.theguncleaners.com.
Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us on the M-W Tactical Podcast. Remember, a new podcast comes out every Tuesday. If you can't wait for Tuesday, go listen to past episodes to catch up on what you missed. make sure you visit www.m-wtactical.com and see what all is offered on the site, where you can even purchase M-W Tactical apparel. But please, go to our Facebook and Instagram page and follow us on our journey in the sport of competition shooting and the realm of the 2A community. Until next week, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun.